What's up, YouTube? It's Darren, the bow tie fragrance guy. Hey, we talk about fragrances and fashion on this channel. So if you're a person that enjoys fragrances, if you enjoy hearing about some style tips, just overall how you can kind of improve your overall aesthetic through fragrances and also through your appearance, then you might find some value in this channel. I hope you will consider clicking the subscribe button and also hitting the bell icon as well so that YouTube notifies you anytime I upload new content on the channel. So guys, on today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 fragrances in my collection that I think are more on the inexpensive side. Cheap, inexpensive, however you wish to refer to these fragrances is cool with me. I don't have a problem with what word you choose to describe fragrances that are a little bit less expensive fragrances. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to be drinking some coffee, so I hope you guys got your coffee. Let's go ahead and do a quick toast. There we go. And we're going to talk about some inexpensive fragrances that are good to wear in the wintertime. I've already talked about and dropped the list for the niche list, also the designer fragrance choices that I'm going to be wearing for the winter season. I've already dropped those lists, so this is going to be for the more economical list. That's another word you can use. There's a lot of words out there, man. Cheap, inexpensive, economical, cost effective. A lot of different ways you can describe this stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. That's what we're going to be getting into today. I have 10 fragrances that I think will be some good recommendations for you. Also, guys, really quickly, before we even jump into the list, I'm going to be doing a video that's going to be coming up pretty soon. You guys heard about the fragrance house Commodity. Now, they discontinued all of the fragrances that they had from their initial wave or their initial release of fragrances that they had on the market a few years ago. I know you guys can probably remember all the fragrances ended up in rag stores and people were racking up. People were racking up on these fragrances because they were going for like between 15 to 20 bucks, up to 29. I've seen it up to 29. But there were some really good fragrances and people really started to, or the fragrance house started to gain notoriety at the point when they were kind of discontinuing everything. But they are back. And they have come up with a really cool concept. I'm going to be going in detail and in depth with this on an upcoming video. But they've come up with a concept called Scent Space. Scent Space. It's called Scent Space. And basically what they have, and I have 3 of the fragrances here. They have, each of their fragrances this time is going to have 3 different variations of it. So you'll have the one in the middle, and they advise you to start with the one in the middle, which is the expressive. So the expressive is kind of going to be a great balance of great longevity, great projection, but the notes are going to be a little bit different from what you get if you go with the one that's a little bit more personal. So the personal version of each fragrance is going to be one that sits closer to the skin. It's a little bit more of an intimate fragrance. So the notes will change a little bit from the expressive. So you'll go from the lightest version will be the personal, the middle will be the expressive, and then you will have the bold iteration of each fragrance. So it's going to be the same fragrance, but again, one is going to perform a lot better than the other one. If you go with the bold, that's going to be for the people that like to be noticed when they walk into the room and command attention. But this is dope, man. So I'm going to be going into detail about this whole relaunch of Commodity fragrances, and also I'm going to be giving away this kit right here. This one is called Velvet, and there are 3 2 ml samples in here of each iteration of the Velvet fragrance. So I'm going to be giving that away to a lucky subscriber. I'm sorry guys, this will be for the US only. But what I want you to do at the end of this video, I just want you to drop down in the comment section what was your favorite fragrance from the list today. And if you're in the US, you'll be entered into the drawing to win this gift set from Commodity. So you'll have a chance to explore this whole new concept of Scent Space. It's kind of personalizing the fragrance to fit your personal preference. All right, guys, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to get into the list. So if you want to see what's on my list this year of the top 10 inexpensive, cheap, whatever you want to call it, fragrances for the winter time, and you know the routine, keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. We're about to go ahead and jump right into this list. Now, this first fragrance up in the 10th spot, if you're not careful, if you just go by the name, then this fragrance may really throw you off because the name, there's nothing about the name of this fragrance that indicates what's in the bottle. And this fragrance comes from the house of Jimmy Choo, and this is Jimmy Choo Man Blue. Jimmy Choo Man Blue. And this fragrance has nothing really blue about this fragrance at all besides the color of the bottle. Now, this is a very spicy, rich, leathery vanilla kind of fragrance. It's really, really spicy. It has some clary sage in here, some black pepper. So again, spicy. Then you get the leather, almost a smoky, incensey kind of leather in this fragrance, as well as that vanilla. So it's nothing like the name would indicate, but this fragrance is really, really good if you're looking for something cost effective or inexpensive for the winter time, because it really does do well in the colder temperatures. Again, I was kind of thrown off just by the name of this fragrance because it's nothing that you would think about when you think about the typical blue fragrance, but I guess in a way that's a good thing. They didn't follow the status quo right now of blue fragrances, but this is really, really good if you want something inexpensive for the winter. So check it out. Again, from the house of Jimmy Choo, this is called Jimmy Choo Man Blue. All right, guys, now coming in at the 9th spot this year on this list, this fragrance comes from a house called Glen Perry. That's P-E-R-R-I, I think. And the fragrance is called Unpredictable Adventure. Unpredictable Adventure. This was one of the first fragrances that I picked up when I started collecting fragrances that was considered to be a Acqu Di Gio clone. Now, I will tell you, it will kind of remind you of Acqu Di Gio, but this is a lot more on the smoky side. There's really not anything fruity or pineapple that you're going to find in this fragrance. It's really, really smoky. So if you would be interested in a very, very smoky version of something that will kind of give you a vibe of Acqu Di Gio, this will be really good. But a scent like this does work really well when it's cold outside. It will definitely be a fragrance that's very warm, and it'll definitely give you those kind of warm vibes that you might be looking for out of a fragrance when it's cold. So maybe one that you might want to check out. I think you can find this for under 25 bucks in most places. But again, this one is called Unpredictable Adventure. All right, guys, now coming in at the 8th spot this year, this fragrance comes from the house of Lacoste, and this is Lacoste L'Homme Intense. Lacoste L'Homme Intense. Now, what I like about this one is it gives you that similar vibe that you get from the original, which had that beautiful almond accord in the middle of that fragrance. But this one on the dry down adds some, of course, some more drier and I would guess more intense notes as it starts to dry down. You get some Akigala wood in this. You get some vanilla on the dry down, a little bit of amber in this as well, Nargamota. So again, really enriches that whole DNA from the original fragrance. And again, it makes it a fragrance, in my opinion, that is really good to wear in the cooler months of the year. So this is another one that is kind of inexpensive, that will really work when it's cold outside. So check out this one if you haven't yet. I think this is a really solid fragrance from Lacoste. This is Lacoste L'Homme Intense. All right, guys, coming in at the 7th spot on this list, this may be probably the most underrated fragrance on this entire list, because I think for what you're gonna pay for it is really good fragrance. From the house of Mont Blanc, this is called Emblem Intense. Emblem Intense. This is one of those fragrances when I first smelled it, it was something that I wanted to really add to the collection because it is really nice. It kind of gives you the similar vibes that you would get from something like a Paco Rabanne 1 million in a way. It's got that same kind of playful fruitiness when this fragrance opens up. When it starts to dry down, man, you get some suede, some tonka bean, some cinnamon, rose, apple. Amazing fragrance for the price. And again, it performs really well on my skin. So a great fragrance to pick up, which I think you pretty much are stealing this at the price that you're going to get it for. And again, it's really underrated in my opinion. Not many people talk about this fragrance, and there should be a lot more people talking about it because it's really solid. So again, from the house of Mont Blanc, check this one out, guys. This is Mont Blanc Emblem Intense. All right, now coming in at the 6th spot on the list this year, this fragrance comes from the house of Salvatore de Ferragamo, and this one is called Uomo. This is Uomo. This is Uomo, and it's the beautiful creamy tiramisu fragrance right here. It has cacao in it, I think, as well. Tiramisu, some tonka bean, really, really sweet, rich, and decadent fragrance. Now, I heard a lot of people talk about this being discontinued, but it's not discontinued. I did look it up before I even did this and included it on the video. It is still available in a lot of different places, certainly on the Ferragamo website. There's some other discounters. I think Fragrance X, I found this on there as well. So it's not discontinued. It's not as easily accessible as it was maybe a year or two ago, but it's still out there, and it's a really, really good fragrance. A beautiful gourmand genre. I would put it in that genre of fragrance. It's definitely a gourmand for the price. So make sure you check it out, guys, if you really like a nice, sweet fragrance. If you have a sweet tooth, then this will satisfy your craving. So check out Uomo from Salvatore Ferragamo. All right, guys, now we're going to the top 5 right here for the list this year. And in the 5th spot, we have a beautiful fragrance from the house of Bvlgari, and this is Man in Black. Man in Black. If I didn't have so many fragrances in my collection, I would just buy a big bottle of this. I still may do it because this is a really, really well done fragrance from Bvlgari. Again, for the price that you're going to pay, I just think is a highway robbery. But this is a beautiful, spicy rum and tobacco combination fragrance right here. So it's really, really boozy and spicy. It's sweet as well, because you get some beautiful notes of tonka when this starts to dry down. So an amazing fragrance. I rant and rave about this fragrance anytime I really bring it up on the channel, just because I really think it deserves all the praise, all the notoriety that it's received, because it's that good for what you're paying. The first time I laid my nose on this fragrance, I was in, I want to say it was Nordstrom's rack, and they had like a gift set of this, and I bought it. And again, I was just blown away at what I paid for what was actually in here. It's well done. I think Bvlgari Mont Blanc does fragrances really well, especially for what you're going to pay for them. So again, check it out from the house of Bvlgari. This is Man in Black. All right, guys, now coming in at the 4th spot this year, this fragrance comes from the house of Coach, and this is called Coach Platinum. Coach Platinum. Now, at one point in time, I thought this fragrance may have been discontinued, but it's not. It is still out there, and it's available for you to purchase. I think this is a great fragrance to wear in the cold months of the year, the cooler months, fall, winter, of course. That's why it's on the list. But this is a fragrance that's really, really heavy on the vanilla. But it's not like a lot of the other vanilla fragrances that I have in my collection. It's a little bit more of a fresher take on the note of vanilla. But I really, really like this one, man. Again, this is one I had in my collection once, let it go, but I liked it so much that I did get it back. Great for the winter. Make sure you check out this one from the house of Coach. This is called Coach Platinum. All right, now coming in at the 3rd spot, I've talked a lot about this fragrance over the past year for good reason. I just added it to the collection this year, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to get my hands on this. This is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. Another one that's that's a really good vanilla fragrance. Vanilla is really good in the wintertime, man. Really, really good fragrances that are kind of centered around the note of vanilla, and that's definitely what this fragrance is. I smelled this a long time ago, and I've been wanting to get my hands on it for a long time, and then it was said to be another one that was said to be discontinued, then it started popping back up, and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on it this time. Vanilla, benzoin are the main notes in this to me, incense, but it's really, really, those notes are surrounded or laying on the top of a bed of woods in this fragrance. It just makes this a really, really nice, cool weather fragrance. Again, another one that's really, really warm, cozy, sexy, kind of seductive with that vanilla in this. Great fragrance for the winter time. And again, I've been seeing it for around that $40 to $50 price point. So make sure you check this out and pick it up while you can from the house of Mercedes-Benz. This is Mercedes-Benz Club Black. All right, guys, now coming in at the number 2 spot on this list, another one in my opinion that's criminally underrated from the house of Polo. This is Polo Red Extreme. Polo Red Extreme. Now, the house of Polo to me has, kind of gotten a bad rap, especially over the last couple years. And it kind of hurts me a little bit, man. When I was, earlier in my fragrance journey, I would call it, especially in my college days, I used to love Polo Blue. It was one of my signature scents. So I've been a fan of the house of Polo for a long time. But over the last, I would especially say the last 5 years, the fragrance house has kind of gotten a bad rap and kind of on the decline. And I think this fragrance may be suffering from some of the bad publicity that this house has kind of received over the last couple of years, because this was a gem that came out in that whole red collection. The extreme version of this fragrance is a beautiful coffee and kind of fruity blood orange note, are the two main notes to my nose, but it's fruity, and then you have a nice warm coffee note as it starts to dry down, which is really the star player here. And to me, this was the best one out of all the Polo fragrances released over the past 5 years or so. This has always been my favorite. When you talk about more inexpensive fragrances, this is a staple for me in the cold weather. I love this stuff, so check it out, man. Whether or not you like Polo, this is one of the good ones. In my humble opinion, this is Polo Red Extreme. All right, guys, my number one fragrance on my inexpensive winter fragrances, this needs no introduction. Not even gonna talk a lot about it. You know what this fragrance is from the house of Burberry. This is Burberry London. Burberry London, a classic fragrance here in the fragrance world for great reason. It's a beautiful fragrance right here. You have that mimosa, you have the cinnamon. Again, really reminds me of the holiday season. Everything from the bottle to the actual scent. This is the perfect fragrance to wear in the winter season. So make this your scent of the day for for Christmas Eve or something like that. I'm sure you won't be disappointed, but a classic nonetheless, and it comes in at my number one fragrance for my winter inexpensive or cheap fragrances this year. This is from the house of Burberry. It's a classic. It's Burberry London. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time, man. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to make sure that you drop down in the comment section what was your favorite choice of my cheap or inexpensive winter fragrances this year. If you make sure you drop that comment down below, you'll be entered in to win this gift set, or this exploration set, I would call it, from Commodity Fragrances with their new collection of fragrances that they've come out with. As always, I appreciate your time and your attention to these videos. Of course, you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you took a few moments to watch, and I sincerely appreciate that. And don't forget to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you're sharing these videos out to some other folks that you think could use this information, find it helpful, informative, entertaining, whatever it is. I'm cool with it, because I'm your guy, the bow tie fragrance guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell absolutely fantastic, man. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.